uh, standard of standard topic of module 4. So actually, we already seen in the software lifecycle activity there is requirement analysis, then design, then coding and testing phases are there. So coding coding is a construction phase, and the input to the code phase is the output of the previous phase, that is the design. So the objective of the coding phase is to transform the design of a system into a code using a high-level language and then unit test this code. The coding is done after the design phase is complete and design document is reviewed successfully. Every module specified in the document is coded and unit tested. So as we already said, the input to the coding phase is the design document. The design document contains high-level design and detail.
Excuse me, ma'am.
And in the high-level design, it is in the form of
ma'am, audio clarity ke കുറച്ചൊരു issue ഉണ്ട്. ബ്രേക്ക് ആവുന്നുണ്ട്.
Okay, ഇപ്പോഴോ?
ഒന്ന് ശ്രദ്ധ. Okay.
Okay. Okay, then input to the coding phase is the design document, and the design document contains high-level design in the form of the structure chart, then detailed design in the form of module specification. Then during the coding phase, different modules identified in the design document are coded according to the module specification. So we can see the coding principles and concepts. The principles that guide the coding task are closely aligned with the programming style, programming languages, and programming methods. The programming style actually is a set of rules or guidelines for coding. In programming languages that we already know, C++, Java, etc., and the programming methods. The fundamental coding principles are the preparation principles, coding principles, and validation principles. Preparation principles from the name itself is the preparation before writing a line of code. That is, before we are starting coding for a particular problem, initially we have to understand the problem, then understand the basic design principles and concepts. And based on the design principles and concepts, we are picking a programming language and selecting a programming environment for the execution of the program. Okay, the principle contains some things. Ensure that is checking the algorithms. There are many algorithms for a sorting. There are many algorithms. So according to the design principles and concepts, you have to select one of the algorithms from a set of algorithms and check the algorithm. Then selecting the data structure, then understanding the software architecture and creating interfaces that are consistent with it. Then keeping the conditional logic as simple as possible. Then creating nested loops in a way that makes them easily testable. Then selecting meaningful variable names and follow other local coding standards. The coding standards we are going to see later. Then writing the code that is self-documenting. Then creating a visual layout that aids understanding. The visual layout simply means that using blank spaces and indentation, the code will give a visually very good appearance in order to understand the code easily. And after completing the coding, we are moving to the validation phase. So for the validation phase, some principles, that is validation principles, we have to ensure. That is, conducting a code walkthrough when appropriate, then performing unit tests and correct errors we have uncovered, then refactor the code if needed. Then we can see the programming practice and the coding phase. So actually the programming practice, how effectively good programming we can do or coding we can perform in order to solve a problem in the software engineering. So understanding the coding in the software engineering project provides benefits to software engineering needs, delivery teams, project managers, and the organization overall. Good coding in the software engineering also helps to prevent errors, control complexity, and improve the maintainability of applications. Then there are some points we are going to see in the programming practice for a good programming practice. First one is the variables and constants. So in the case of the variables and constants, assigning names to all variables, functions, and methods to make the code easier to read, understand, and maintain. So by using a meaningful name, the code will explain itself to anyone who reads it. And using commonly spoken language for the name, so it will be easier to understand what is the purpose of that variable or function or the methods in that code. And it is better if shorter and clearer names. As in the case of the functions, the names of the functions should be meaningful and descriptive. The function should begin with an action word for what it does. For example, addition of two numbers, we are saying the name as add, or for concatenation of two strings, we can say the function name as add. So the name of the function should be descriptive. Then control constructs. It is desirable to use a few standard control constructs rather than wide variety of constructs. That is just because they are available in language. So the control structures, for example, we can in the C programming there are many control structures. There is if, else, switch case, etc. The meanings of that keywords same as in the spoken language. So it is desirable to use a few standard control constructs rather than a wide variety of constructs. Next is the go-to statement. So go-to should be used sparingly and in a disciplined manner. Otherwise, it will be very confusing in the in understanding and testing stage of the software engineering. Then information hiding. The access functions for the data structures should be made visible while hiding the data structure behind this function. Then nesting. If nesting of if then else becomes too deep, then the logic becomes very harder to understand and confusing while uncovering any error in the code. We can see an example that is in the case that is if C1 then S1, else if C2 then S2, else if C3 then S3, and also there may be some brackets, curly brackets for the beginning session, and so there may be a lot of brackets may come here. If there is more than sentences that is in S1, S2, and S3. So it is often difficult to which a particular else statement is associated. In the above case, they are disjoint. The structure can be converted as if C1 then S1, if C2 then S2, if C3 then S3. So the sequence of statements will produce the same result, but it is very much easier to understand. And the seventh case is a module side. Programmer should carefully examine any function with too many statements and large will not be functionally cohesive. And the next point is a module interface. A module with complex interface should be carefully examined. If the interface is complex with more than 5 parameters, should be examined and broken into modules with simpler interface. Then the side effects. When module is invoked, it creates side effects of modifying program state beyond the modification of parameters in the interface. Then robustness. A program might face exceptional conditions like overflow, and in such situations, the program should not crash or halt. Instead, should produce a meaningful message and exit successfully. Then switch case with default. If there is no default case in the switch statement, the behavior can be unpredictable at the development stage, as it can result in a bug like null dereferencing memory, etc. Then the next case is the empty catch block. There are chances that if an exception is caught, there is no action defined and some of the operations may not be performed. And it is always good to use catch block even if it is just an error message. Then 13th one is the trusted data sources. The checks should be made before accessing the input data, particularly if it is being provided by the user or is being obtained over the network. So some checks should be done like parity checks, hashes, etc. to ensure the validity of incoming data. Next is giving importance to the exception. Many programmers give less importance to the possible exceptional cases and tend to work with the main problem. So the main work is done in main path. It is exceptional path that is often caused the software system to fail. So the programmers should give the important same as the main flow to the exception cases. Then next is the common coding errors may happen during the coding stage. The software errors are reality that all programmers have to deal with. First one is the memory leak. The situations where the memory is allocated to the program, it is not freed subsequently. And second one is the freeing an already freed resource. Simply already the memory block is free, and again when it is free, if it is allocated for a new variable, the new event will be deallocated. So this is freeing an already freed resource. It's when the programmer tries to free the already freed resource, there is a chance that the first freed allocation is now allocated to the new variable, and the subsequent free will deallocate. Next one is the null dereferencing, when we try to access the contents of location that points to null. Next is the lack of unique addresses, that is, aliasing creates problems, and among them is violation of unique address when we expect different addresses. That means if there is aliasing with the address is there, if any variable changes its value, so the variable, the same address will be automatically changes its value. So it may problem with the output. The result will be some different values will be obtained during the completion of it, or after compilation. The result will be different. The expected result will not get. Next is the synchronization errors. There are different categories of synchronization errors, and some of them are follows that we already know in the operating system. We are already seeing that is deadlock, race condition, then inconsistent synchronization. The deadlock means one or more threads literally lock each other, and in the race condition, two threads try to access the same resource, and in the inconsistent synchronization, there is a mix of locked and unlocked access to some shared variables. Then next one is the array index out of bound. That we all know during in the case of C programming, we are putting a bound for array. The array index value cannot be negative or should not exceed C index bound. The next is the arithmetic exception, that is error like division by 0, then floating point exception. These errors may be occurred during the common error. These are some common coding errors. So by considering these 15 things, that is we are taking care of this. We can create a good coding practice and programming practice. Okay. Next, we can see the verification. In the verification, the objective is to check the software code in all aspects. All aspects means simply if there is a coding standard, if you follow the programmer follow that coding standard, also check, and also the errors are also identified and uncovered. The code verification is the process used for checking the software code for errors introduced in the coding phase. And this verifies whether the software code has been translated according to the requirements of the user. The code verification techniques are classified into two categories, namely dynamic and static. The dynamic technique is performed by executing some test data. The outputs of the program are tested to find errors in the software code. So in the dynamic technique, some inputs and expected outputs are already calculated, and using that the data, the program tested to find out the errors in the software code. But in the static technique, the program is executed conceptually and without any data. That is, some of the commonly used static techniques are code reading, static analysis, symbolic execution, then code instruction and review. So these are the types of static techniques in the verification. So we can see the static technique here. That is the code reading, static analysis, symbolic executor, then code inspection and review. Simply, the code reading from the name itself, we can understand that is just reading a software program. Sometimes some syntax errors or some typing errors are also can be for the reading method. So in this process, attempts are made to understand the document, that is software specifications or software design. And the purpose of reading programs is to determine the correctness and consistency of the code. So the code reading can also be served as a program. So in the code reading, the general conventions that can be followed while reading the software code, that are some conventions, some important things that we can find out from through the code reading process. That is first one, figure out what is important. So while reading the code, emphasis should be on finding graphical techniques like bold, italics, or positions, that is beginning or end of the section. Then important comments may be highlighted in the introduction or at the end of the software. Then next is read what is important. That is, code reading should be done with the intent to check syntax and structures such as brackets, nested loops, and functions rather than the non-essential such as the name of the software developer who has written the software code. So we can read what is important. Then next is the static analysis method. The static analysis comprises a set of methods used to analyze the source code or object code of the software to understand how the software functions and to set up criteria to check its correctness. The static analysis studies the source code without executing it and seeks information about the structure of the model used, data and control flows, syntactical accuracy, and much more. So in the static analysis, there are several kinds of static analysis methods are there. First one, the control flow analysis. This examines the control structures used in the code. Then data analysis. This ensures that the proper operations are applied to the data objects such as data structures, linked list, etc. Then fault or failure analysis. This analysis the fault, that is the incorrect model component, and the failure, that is incorrect behavior of a model component in the model. Next is the interface analysis, that is this verifies and validates the interactive and distributive simulation to check the software code. Next method is the symbolic execution. From the name itself, it is symbolic. That is the symbolic execution. Concentrates on assessing the accuracy of the model by using symbolic values instead of actual data values for input. The symbolic execution is also known as a symbolic evaluation, which is performed by providing symbolic inputs which produce expressions for the output. That is the complete or clear idea about the actual result of the input we are providing. Next is a symbolic execution state. That is, symbolic execution is represented as a symbolic state symbol consisting of variable symbolic values, the path and the path condition. That is, these are the steps. That is, the read or the input symbol is created. Then the assignment creates a symbolic value expression. Then the conditions in the symbolic state and constraints to the path condition. Next, in the verification state is a code inspection and review. This technique is a formal and systematic examination of the source code to detect errors. During this process, the software is presented to the project managers and the users for a comment of approval. There is a team for the inspection, and the inspection team checks the source code for errors. So actually, the objective of the code inspection is check for the presence of common programming errors. And for this, the code is examined for the presence of common programming errors. And also checking whether the code adheres to coding standards. That we are going to see the coding standards. Okay, then in the code inspection and review, there is already told there is a team. And this team consists of the moderator, reader, recorder, and auditor. The moderator conducts the inspection meetings, checks errors, and ensures that the inspection process is followed. The reader paraphrases the operation of the software code. Then a recorder keeps record of each error in the software code, and this treats the task of the other team members to think deeply about the software code. An author observes the code inspection process silently and helps only when explicitly required. The role of the author is to understand the errors found in the software code. Then, code becomes error-free. It is sent back to the moderator. The moderator checks the code that has been reworked, and if the moderator is completely satisfied with the software code, inspection becomes formally complete, and the process of testing the software code begins. Then there are two checklists for the recording of the result of the code inspection. That is the code inspection checklist, then the inspection error list. The inspection checklist is a summary of all the errors in the software code, and in the inspection error list provides the details of each error that requires rework. Then in the code review stage, that is the effective technique to remove defects from the source code. This is the most effective way for removing defects compared to testing, and this is done after a module is successfully compiled. These are the types of code review, that is code walkthrough and code inspection. The procedures and the final outputs of this code walkthrough and code inspection are different. And the objective of the code walkthrough is to discover the algorithms and logical errors in the code. And this is the informal code analysis technique. A module is taken for review after coding and compiling it successfully. And a few members of the development team are given the code a few days before walkthrough. And each member takes a test case and simulates the execution of code manually, and also traces the execution of the code. And the members note out their findings after the walkthrough and discussing these findings with the coder in the walkthrough meeting. Then we can see some guidelines for walkthrough. And the team performing walkthrough details should not be too large or too small. And the discussion focuses on the discovery of errors and avoiding deliberations on how to fix those errors. And managers should not attend the meeting because to avoid the feelings among the engineers who are being evaluated during the meeting. So these are the verification. These are the things we are in the verification. So we see in the code inspection, code review, and code walkthrough, and how what are the guidelines for walkthrough meeting, etc. Now we can see.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
മാം നമ്മുടെ സെഷന്റെ ഫസ്റ്റ് പാർട്ട് കഴിഞ്ഞിരുന്നു. അപ്പോ കുറച്ച് കുട്ടികളുടെ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ റിക്വസ്റ്റും ഉണ്ട്. വളരെ കുറച്ച് കുട്ടികൾ ലേറ്റ് ആയിട്ട് ജോയിൻ ചെയ്തിരുന്നു. അതുകൊണ്ട് ആദ്യത്തെ ഭാഗം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇത്രയും സെഷൻ ഒന്നുകൂടെ ഒന്ന് ബ്രീഫ് ചെയ്യുമോ എന്ന് ഒന്ന് രണ്ട് പേരുടെ റിക്വസ്റ്റ് വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതുപോലെ
ഹലോ
മാം ഒന്ന് ബ്രീഫ് ചെയ്യുമോ? ഈ ഫസ്റ്റ് സെഷൻ ഒന്നുകൂടെ ഒന്ന് ബ്രീഫ് ചെയ്യുമോ ലേറ്റ് ആയിട്ട് ജോയിൻ ചെയ്തവർക്ക് വേണ്ടി?
ഓക്കെ. So
എല്ലാ അറ്റൻഡീസിന്റെയും ശ്രദ്ധയ്ക്ക് മാമിന് എന്തോ നെറ്റ്വർക്ക് ഇഷ്യൂ ഉണ്ട്. He'll be back in 5 minutes. So kindly wait for her. Thank you.
phase is the design document. And in the design document, there might be detailed and just a so modules in this document. That is closely languages, and the fundamental coding principles are preparation principles, coding principles, and validation principles. So in the preparation principle, it is simply some preparations or some things before start doing the programming or writing the like code. Understand the problem well, then understand the concepts, the programming language, programming environment. And also in the coding principles, we have to check the data structures and understand the software
excuse me, ma'am.
then use conditional logic.
Asha, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
Ma'am, actually, voice നല്ല feeble ആണ്. Clear ആകുന്നില്ല.
Hello.
Hello, ma'am.
ഇപ്പൊ കിട്ടുന്നുണ്ടോ?
ഇപ്പൊ ക്ലിയർ ആണ്.
Okay.
Continue ചെയ്തോളൂ, ma'am.
Okay. Then also we have to create nested loops in a easily testable manner. Then select the meaningful variable names or function names, etc. And also write the code in a self-documenting manner. And also creating a visual layout during the programming. Then in the validation principle, then after the successfully completion of a code of a module, then conducting a code walkthrough, and also after the completion of the walkthrough, it is completely ready for the unit test. Then after performing the unit test or during the walkthrough process or invalidation principle or process, if needed, refactor the code. Okay, these are some programming practices, good programming practices. So good coding in software engineering helps to prevent errors, control complexity, and to improve the maintainability of applications. So there are some 15 cases we are going to we have already seen. In the case of the variables and constants, that is, assigning the names to these variables, constants, and functions be meaningful. That is, it is easier to understand and maintain, and also the function should be meaningful and descriptive. Then, in the case of control constructs, use standard control constructs, so it will be easily testable and understand the code. Then use the go-to statement sparingly. While we are using the concept of information hiding, the access functions of the data structures should be made visible. And in the case of nesting, if then else constructs become too deep, the logic become very hard to understand. Then in the case of the programming practices, that is in the case of nested if concept, that is in the slide number 14.
Okay, ma'am.
Slide number 14.
Okay, ma'am.
We can see here is a nested loop, that is if C1 then S1, else if C2 then S2, else if C3 then S3. So it is very much difficult to understand if there is a lot of control constructs like this are here. So which else statement is associated with which if statement. So it is if these are disjoint, it simply can be written as if C1 then S1, if C2 then S2, if C3 then S3. That is, this sequence of statements will produce the same result, but is very easy to understand than the above statement. So there is module size. The programmer should carefully examine the function. With the too many statements and large modules will not be functionally cohesive, and the module interface should be carefully examined. If it is very large number of parameters, that is like with more than 5 parameters, that should be examined once more and should be broken into modules with simpler interface will be a good practice for coding. Then side effects, when a module is invoked, it will create side effects of modifying program state beyond the modification of parameters. Now, robustness, a program maybe face exceptional conditions like overflow, and in such situations, the program should not crash or halt. Instead, it should produce a meaningful message, exit successfully. Next is a switch case with default. There is no default case in the switch statement. The behavior of the code will be unpredictable at the development stage, and it will result with error like null dereferencing and other memory leakage, etc. Then next is the empty catch block. There are chances that exception code, there might be that exception should be cached. So it is always good to use cache blocking with data sources. The data source for the program should from a trusted source. So some checks like parity, hashes, etc. can ensure the validity of the incoming data. Then give importance to exception. The exceptions are also or these exceptions may lead to the software systems to fail. So, like the main part, the programmers should give much importance to the exceptions. The next is the common coding errors. The common coding errors are also have seen like memory leaks, the memory allocated to a particular problem that is not freed subsequently, that is memory leaks. Then freeing an already freed resource, freeing again will cause some variable which is allocated that freely memory to a new problem, that also will be deallocated. So that will make a system with undesired or unexpected output. The next is the null dereferencing, when we try to access the contents of points to null. Then next is the lack of unique addresses. If there is a block with the same addresses are used different different methods, then it will cause, if any of that method will change its value, that will affect all variables or all functions related with that address. So lack of unique addresses make unexpected results. Then next is the synchronization errors. There are different categories of synchronization errors we are already seen in the operating system. That is deadlocks, race conditions, and inconsistent synchronization. Deadlock, mutually one or more threads mutually lock each other. Race conditions, when two threads try to access the same resource. Then inconsistent synchronization, there is a mix of locked and unlocked access to some shared variables. Then array index out of bounds, that is there is a bound for array. The values should not exceed their bounds and should no array index values cannot be negative. So if any one of this happens, it will be a common coding error. Then arithmetic exceptions like divisible by 0 and floating point exceptions. So these things, these 15 things we have to taken care during the otherwise we are carefully taking for a good programming practice. Next is the verification. Verification, from the name itself, its objective is to check the software code in all aspects. So it is a process used for checking the software codes for errors introduced in the coding phase. Okay, and also it verifies whether the software code has been translated according to the requirements of the user. Next slide. And there are two categories of verification, that is dynamic and static. In the dynamic technique, taking some inputs and already the results of particular input is examined, and this data and checking this data is getting by inputting the data already given. And in the static techniques, the program is executed conceptually. There is no input and there is no output. It is without any data. Some conceptually executing is doing in static technique. And there are code reading, static analysis, symbolic execution, code inspection and review techniques are in static technique. So in the code reading, it can also say program reading. In this process, attempts are made to understand the documents, software specifications or software designs, and also by reading the code, some findings can be found out from the code. That is, figure out what is important. We can figure out these points are important in case of this problem, and read what is important rather than the name of the developer of the code, some brackets, nested loops, functions. The essential things we can read from the code. And the static next method is the static analysis. Static analysis comprises a set of methods to analyze the source code or object code of the software to understand how the software functions and set up a criteria to check correctly. That is, analyze the source code to understand how the software functions and to set up a criteria to check its correctness. And the static analysis studies the source code without executing and gives the information like structure of the model, data and control flows, syntactical accuracy. Then these are there are some static analysis methods. Like already said, data and control flows, structure of model use, we are finding this like in order to data and control flow, we can use the control flow analysis method. Then for data, in the data analysis method, proper operations are applied to the object. Can ensure the proper operations applied to the object. Then
Asha ma'am.
fault or failure analysis.
Excuse me ma'am. Ma'am, audio clear അല്ല ma'am. Mouthpiece കുറച്ചും കൂടി ഒന്ന്.
ഓക്കെ, ഇപ്പൊ കേൾക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്നുണ്ടോ?
ഇപ്പൊ ക്ലിയർ ആണ്. ഇടയ്ക്ക് ഫീബിൾ ആകുന്നുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അതുപോലെ slide 28 അല്ലേ ma'am?
28.
Okay, thank you ma'am.
Okay. So, and also in the interface analysis, validates interactive and distributed simulations to check the software code. So next, from the name itself, the symbolic execution assessing the accuracy of the model by using symbolic values instead of the actual data values for input. The symbolic execution, also known as symbolic evaluation, there are some steps, and also there is a symbolic state symbol for symbolic execution. And the steps are the read or the input symbol creating initially, then the assignment creating a symbolic value expression, then the symbolic value expression gives our actual idea about the output, then the conditions in symbolic state and constraints to the path conditions. So these are the steps in the symbolic execution. That is, these steps are in the symbolic state symbol. Then next is the code inspection and review. Actually, the code inspection simply means that is for error correction, and if there is any or any coding standard provided by an organization, that code followed that coding standard is also inspected. If a programmer didn't follow that code standard, that code will be rejected during the code inspection stage. That is, the objective of the code inspection is to check the presence of common programming errors and whether the code adheres to a coding standard. So there is a team for the code inspection, and the team consists of moderator, reader, recorder, and author. The moderator who conducts the inspection meetings and ensures the inspection process is followed. Then the reader paraphrases the operation of the software code. Recorder keeps record of each error in the software code. Then author observes the code inspection process silently and help on the event. And when the code becomes error-free, it is sent back to the moderator. The moderator checks the code that has been revoked. And if the moderator completely satisfied with the software code, the inspection becomes complete and the process of testing can be done. There are two checklists in the code inspection. That is a code summary of all errors in the software code in the code inspection checklist, and the inspection error list is there. This provides the details of the errors in the errors which needs review. Next is a code review. This is a cost-effective way of reviewing defects compared to testing, and this is done after a module successfully. Yes, there are two types of code review methods. That is a walkthrough, code inspection, and the code through means the algorithmic and logical errors in the code. And if a module is for review after coding and compiling it successfully. So a few development team members are giving the code few days before walkthrough meeting, and each member take a test case and tracing the code execution. Then the members note down the findings in the walkthrough meeting and discussing these findings with the developer who developed this code. And there are some guidelines for a walkthrough meeting. There is a team, should not be too large or too small. And the discussion in the walkthrough meeting is only for the us. And the managers didn't in the meeting because in order to avoid the feelings among the engineers who are being evaluated during the meeting. So this is the summary of the first part, how the coding is perfectly doing in a software engineering lifecycle, and how the errors can be detected and removed in the coding stage itself. Okay. Now we can see the coding standards and guidelines. Hello, Deepti.
Hello, ma'am.
Can I continue the next session?
Sure, ma'am. Continue.
So now we can see the coding standards and guidelines. Like in the earlier stage, we already said that there might be coding standard for some organization, and this organization put the standards in order to make the code a good quality code, and also reuse that code again. And we can see the coding standards and guidelines. That is, a good software development organization require the programmers to follow some well-defined coding style. And this well-defined standard style of coding is called as coding standards. Every organization formulate their own coding standard, and the coding standards list several rules to be followed during coding. For example, naming of variables, error returning conventions, etc. These are some advantages of using coding standards, that is giving a uniform appearance to the codes written by different engineers and facilitates the code understanding and code use. Okay, then promotes good programming practices. The good programming practices are already seen in the initial session. Next is the effects of coding standards. It is mandatory for the programmers to follow the coding standards prescribed by the company. And if there is the developer who didn't follow this coding standards, that code will be rejected, and it is also identified or checked in the code verification or code inspection stage. So in the review stage, the code is rejected. It is not followed the coding standard. Then the code has to be reworked by the programmer again. If it is not under the standard, he or she has to follow the standards by the organization, and again doing or going through this inspection and review. We can see some general coding standards here. That is the representative coding standards. That is rules for limiting the use of global. That is, these rules list what type of data can be declared as global and what cannot. And also this limits the data to be declared as global. Then the standard headers for different modules. The header of different modules should have a standard format. This facilitates the ease of understanding and maintenance. Okay, we can see some general coding standards for the header format, name of the module, date of creation of module, author's name, modification history, synopsis of module, that is synopsis, just as write up about what a module does. Then different functions supported in the module along with input output parameters. Then global variables accessed or modified by the modules. Then these are the major coding standards. And these are naming conventions, then files, statements, commenting, and layout. The naming conventions for local and global variables, we can see. As the variables are named using mixed case lettering. Then global variable name always start with capital letter. A local variable name always start with small letter. Constants are for letters only. This can be a particular standard by an organization, and also some other rules or other guidelines, the coding standards by many other organizations. So, the package names should be in lowercase, variable names should be noun starting with lowercase, names should be the name should be in uppercase, method names starting with lowercase. The variables with a large scope should have long names and short names with small scope. So when we see a variable name, we could easily understood it is large scope or small scope. Then private class variables should have the underscore suffix. In case of the files, we just seen in the case of variables only. So in case of files, there are conventions on how files should be named and what file should contain, such that a reader can get some idea about the file. That is, Java source file should have an extension .java. While we are doing a C program, the name of the file should have an extension .c, .c, C++, like what programming language we are using. The extension, when we are seeing the extensions, we could easily understand which type of program or which type of file it is. Then each file should contain class name same as the file name. Each file should contain the class name same as the file name. Next is the case of the statements. Variables should be initialized where declared. Then declare related variables together in a common statement. Then class variables should never be declared public. Loop variables should be initialized immediately before the loop. And avoid use of break and continue in a loop. Then in the case of commenting and layout, comments should explain
what the code is doing or why the code is there. So this simply for a code which is self-documenting. We already told in we are already seen in the initial session there might be creating visual layout. So this commenting and layout can be for visually we can understand the code easily. So what are the function block of which block of code simply with the function, or this commenting helps to this commenting simply provides the visual layout. The comments for a module are known as prologue. Comments can also be named as prologue too, which describe the functionality and the purpose of the module. If the module is modified, then the prologue should also be modified. Single line comments for a block of code should be aligned with code, and there should be comments for all major variables. So all major variables, the major variables are the major part in that code.
Ma'am, slide number on the paraymo, or confusion.
52.
Okay, thank you.
So for the major variables, there might be some description about that variable. Because this major variable plays a major role in it. And conventions regarding the error return values and exception handling. The way in which the error conditions are reported by different functions in a program should be standardized. So that is, all functions encoding an error must be, so error must return either a 0 or 1, or consistently independent of the programmer who wrote the code. That is, anyone who writing a code should return either a 0 or 1. Why? This is an example. This is a example standard follow in the case of conditions. So this facilitates reuse and debugging of the code. So we can see some guidelines prescribed by company. So we are just going to see some guidelines only. So many organizations have their own guidelines. We are going to see some guidelines. An organization, they provide general suggestions regarding the coding style to be followed, and the actual implementation of these guidelines are the discretion of developers. So code must be easy to understand. So that is, do not use the coding style that is clever or difficult to understand. So clever coding may reduce the code understandable, because some maybe will join the coding stage. So if it is easily understandable, they can follow the rest of the coding part. So if it is clever coding that is too difficult to understand, this will make the maintenance and debugging very expensive. The next is avoid obscure side effects. That is function modifications of parameter passed by reference, then modification of global variables and output operations. So an obscure side effect is the one that cannot cache examination of code. So this is very difficult to understand. Next is, do not use an identifier for multiple purposes. Programmers often use the same identifier to denote several temporary entities. So it may lead to the confusion and difficult to understand or read the code, and it will difficult to make future enhancement. So if an identifier is used for multiple purposes, it cannot be given a descriptive name that indicates its purpose. So you only use do not use an identifier for multiple purposes. Next, the code should be well documented. there should be at least one common line on an average of three source lines of code. That depends on the code, the nature. So by commenting each function, each variable, and the purpose of a block of code, so anyone can easily understand and it can be easily it's a very well documented code. The length of a function should not exceed 10 source lines. So a very lengthy function will be very difficult to understand. So, and there may be a large number of bugs. So try to create function with the less number of lines of code expected or clear. Then do not use go to statements. If necessary, you can use the go to statement, but use it in a structured manner. Use it sparingly, and also more go to statement used, it will lead to very difficult to understand and debug and maintain the code. So these are some general coding guidelines and some details about the coding standards while we are doing the coding. So we are following a particular coding standard. Can have these advantages, like very well understandable what we can get, and this will from appearance that is right engineering. Hello, Deepthi.
Ma'am. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Kelkam. Ma'am, ഒരു question ഷഫീഖ് ചോദിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. The question is, what is verification? It's not clear എന്നാണ് പറഞ്ഞിരിക്കുന്നത്. പിന്നെ അത് കൂടാതെ, ma'am, is this symbolic execution comes under static or dynamic?